Why, hello everybody, my name is Emma. I'm the Bookish Princess. If you're new around here, welcome. I've got not just one homemade Minnie Mouse design to show you, but two different kinds of mouse ears. Let's get started. So I will be honest with you guys, this is my first time making mouse ears, so we're gonna be walking through this process together. I have a spring trip coming up to Disney, so I thought the flowers would be perfect, and also the wire, I think, has got some nice springtime rose gold, of course, vibes. What I ended up making was actually not entirely what I planned to make, but I think they turned out really well. My first step was to visit the craft store. Here's what you need. Obviously, I wanted to get a nice assortment of beautiful flowers. Fake flowers can be kind of expensive, but luckily these were on sale because Easter just ended, so a lot of them were Easter flowers. I also found these adorable little birds. Of course, you can get ladybugs or butterflies. You're going to want some kind of template to follow as you're making your ears. I knew I liked the proportion of these old ears, so I decided to use them. Also some headbands, some wire. I actually only ended up using the thicker one. You're gonna want wire cutters, also some pliers to help you shape the wire, and of course a hot glue gun. So we're gonna start with the floral ears. Originally I was gonna use wire as like the base of these, but then I realized these long springy reeds were kind of perfect to form the shape, the round shape of the ear. So I pulled them off of their stem, and then I took two together and just made them into a nice round shape. I measured them up against my mini ears to make sure they were kind of the right proportion. I used a green headband as the base, and again I just measured it up to make sure I was putting the ear in the correct spot. And then I just glued that down with the hot glue gun. Definitely is a challenge, like holding it in place but not burning your fingers. And you do want to make sure you hold it in place for a while to make sure that it really sticks. So then I'm just repeating the exact same process on the other side to make the other ear. This time I'm measuring it up to the ear that I already made because you want to make sure they're the same size. I definitely felt like Lydia Bennet in Pride and Prejudice when she buys the bonnet that she doesn't like and is like, oh, I'll just pull it to pieces and make something much better when I get home. Now we're gonna add the flowers themselves. Originally I thought I would look for those wired flowers that you often find like in the wedding section because I figured it'd be much easier to attach them. And some of these, as you can see, some of the leaves were wired in the plastic flowers that I bought, but not all of them. But it was really nice, the ones that were wired, because you can just kind of curve them around and play with them until you get them exactly how you want, and then just add a dab of glue to make sure they stay in place. I actually needed the wire cutter to cut some of the plastic stems because they were difficult to cut, but others, like these pink ones, just popped right off. You could pull them right out. This guy had too many leaves, so I ended up just pulling some of those off. So yeah, I played around with the flowers and kind of tested out different designs before I decided exactly where I wanted to glue them. I would definitely recommend, once the glue has dried, putting the ears on and then kind of seeing how the flowers frame your face so you can get it exactly the way you want. These round blue flowers were some of my favorites, so of course I had to make a little hidden Mickey for my Mickey ears. I did think I was going to keep that white rose at first, but in the end I cut it off. I realized all the other flowers I was using were so small and delicate, and the rose just didn't kind of match the rest of them. I feel like if you're going to do floral Mickey ears, you might as well go all the way, so I definitely added plenty of flowers. The more flowers you add, and especially the more hot glue you add, the heavier the ears are going to be, so you do want to keep that in mind. I was glad it was kind of a wildflower look though, because I felt like it could be kind of messy. A lot of the flowers I did put on just on their stalk, but then a couple, you can see there, I cut the pink flowers off and just individually put them on where I wanted them. So here's the finished look. Can you spot the hidden bluebirds? You can kind of see I did add some vines to the sides of the headband, and I also tried to add some flowers from the back so it would have a nice look from the back as well. All right, we're gonna jump into the wire ears. It is a good idea, especially when you're forming the round, base of the ear, to grab either a mug or a flower pot, something round that can kind of guide you and help you get a really smooth, really nice circular shape. Of course, I'm measuring it up to my other ears to make sure that the proportion and the size is just right. When I was cutting it, I did leave a little extra wire, which then I just kind of wound around to make a base that I could glue it down to the headband. I flattened it as much as I could so that it would, stick to the headband really well. Once you've got your two ears cut out, you do want to kind of compare them to make sure they're roughly equivalent size, and then of course you line them up and hot glue them on. If you're a younger viewer, you're definitely going to want to get an adult to help you with the hot glue gun and also the wire cutter. And the wire cutter especially, you have to be careful because after you've cut, the edge can be really sharp. You want to watch your fingers. So you may have noticed on the desk there, I did do a little Emma shape in the smaller wire, but I realized it wouldn't look good against the thicker wire. So I just redid the Emma shape with the thicker wire. I did leave some extra wire on either end, and then as you'll see in just a second, that is what I used to attach it to the ear. I just wrapped it around the sides, and it actually gave it this really kind of pretty braided effect. If you have a longer name that does not lend itself to this wire cursive writing, you could always just do an initial. I kind of wanted to do Bookish Princess, but I didn't think I could fit it in. So for the other ear, I just did some more generic curly cues, again leaving extra wire and then wrapping that around the edge to attach it. And then rather than a bow, I decided to go for a little princess crown. This is such a simple, easy shape to make. There are, of course, approximately a bajillion million adorable handmade mini ears out there on Etsy. I've seen them on Instagram, but it's kind of fun to make your own because you can combine like all of your favorite elements that you've seen and just give it your own flair. So I'm gluing that crown down into place, holding it down to make sure the wire really sticks as the glue dries. I did really like this wire because it was easy to bend into shape, and even if you bent it out of shape by mistake, it was pretty easy to bend back. So I'm just finishing it off with a couple more curly cues, also making sure all of the outside ear has that kind of wrapped around effect. I could have twisted two pieces of wire together like in the very beginning when I was first making that round shape, but I think it worked out well this way because then I was able to use the wire to attach the shape. I did go in with the glue gun again just on the very edges of those wires just to kind of reinforce so that they stay in place. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out my other Disney DIY. That Minnie Mouse pin board behind me, I also did a DIY for it. So I'll make sure I link that up above and also in the description. I'm really glad I gave the mini ears a shot. I think they turned out so well. I can't wait to wear them on my trip, so make sure you're following me on Instagram and Twitter and all that so that you see the pictures of these guys in action. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Until then, I hope you have a magical day. Bye!